Comments. I'd ask that everybody please silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate. I appreciate that. First is Kathy Carter.
This is really close. Good morning. My name is Kathy Carter and I live in Willow Ridge, and I've been trying for 5 months to begin a discussion with the board on our currently inadequate guest policy. Some of the issues include residents signing in 10 to 20 guests at one time, parents, grandparents allowing family members who live locally to use our amenities on a weekly or daily basis. There's no limit to the number of guests allowed per year per household, no limit to the number of times a person can be a guest, and no limit to the number of guests allowed per resident per day. There's also no registration or liability form for guests. These are just a few of the issues. Sun City has a good guest model that could be replicated for our community. It would be a good starting point to reduce the number of guests and therefore reduce our liability and wear and tear on our resources. Building a fence around the pickleball courts is a great start to reducing trespassers and therefore reducing our liability. It will also force residents to adhere to the guest policy and our current policy that requires guests to sign in when using their facilities. There was a time when residents understood that our current guest policy was meant for the few times a year when family members or friends came to visit. We can no longer assume people will adhere to the intent and the ambiguous language. The language needs to be clear and concise with no loopholes for interpretation. I am once again requesting that the board address this issue and put the topic on the next board meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Joy Gross.
You know, Mike Barnett, I've had it. This is not the first time he's made derogatory comments when I have come up to the microphone. He said boo right now to me. And this is not appropriate for that to happen. Another time he said, oh, there she goes. She's the one that started all this, and no one heard him in the audience. And I'm tired of it. This should not be happening.
Let's be respectful, everybody, please, okay? Let's just be respectful.
I was out of state last month.
Name and subdivision.
Oh, sorry, Joy Groves, St. Andrew's Place. I was not here for the last board meeting, and I had some concerns of the board, passing a motion or whatever that our expenses are more than our revenue. I think that is very poor. Anybody that had accounting 101 or whatever knows that your budget needs to balance and your expenses can't be more than what you bring in. So I actually then questioned the Ways and Means Committee into what they are doing to even bring us up.
Okay, Joy, you asked to speak on guest policy.
No, I didn't.
Well, you put a check mark, so I didn't know if that meant you were talking about that. To address your issue with regards to that, there is no deficit. It was a typographical error, and Mr. Garrison, during his treasurer's report, will fix that particular issue. So we do not have a deficit at all. We are in the positive. This board would not pass a budget that was in the deficit.
Okay. But I still have concerns in terms of the reserve fund. Because we have gone down from 110% to 64%. I know you guys adjusted it, but I went to that Ways and Means Committee meeting, and I was appalled that you basically got a thing of 64% from the review, and then you were going to adjust it. So I just think that we need to be more transparency. I think that the community forum that was had this last month was a wonderful way for us to address concerns as far as the public. We aren't our parents, okay? And a lot of us are not gonna take this sitting down. So I just wanna let you know that I put you on alert that I think you need to be wise and more conscious of spending the money. And I do think
3 minutes.
we need a community forum more often.
All right, that ends our homeowners' comments. I will ask that we all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Davis, I call on you for our quorum.
Okay, in accordance with Article 4, Section 7 of the Westbrook Village bylaws, a quorum is defined as 1/2 of the current serving directors. At present, the Westbrook Village Board consists of 7 directors. Therefore, a minimum of 4 directors must be present to constitute a quorum. We confirm that a quorum is present.
All right, moving on. Review, correction, and approval of the April 2nd, 2025 minutes.
I move the minutes be approved as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, that was Amy and Matt. Any conversation? Questions or comments? Okay, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Seeing none, it passes. All right, Mr. Treasurer.
Good morning, everybody. This is the treasurer's report for the month ending March 31st, 2025. Our general operating fund, these are the funds designated for our day-to-day operations. The general operating fund, which is designated for day-to-day operations, has a cash balance, including certificates of deposits, of $3,505,332. The forecast revenue for 2025 is $3,482,865, with $3,111,969 coming from member assessments. Total revenue for March was $374,422, which includes a employment retention credit, ERC, of $76,190. Total expenses for April were $257,657, resulting in a surplus of $116,765. The Ways and Means Committee then transferred $64,762 to the reserve fund, half of which covered the cost of purchasing a new maintenance vehicle for Westbrook Village. Our replacement reserve fund funds earmarked for major repairs, equipment replacement, and capital improvements. The reserve fund balance for the period ending March 31st, 2025 stands at $4,639,374, supported by home sales and the preservation fee associated with them. From March 1st through March 31st, there were 18 resales, with only 1 preservation fee waived. From January 1st through March 31st, there have been 44 sales in Westbrook Village. Budget reserve fund expenditures for 2025 total $1,219,050, including planned projects such as perimeter wall repair and painting, HVAC replacements, RV lot complex resurfacing, surfacing, perimeter fencing for the pickleball courts, long-range plan professional services, and all other normal infrastructure repairs and replacements. These financials are on file at the Westbrook Village Administration Office. For questions or to schedule an appointment, please call 623-561-009. I submit these respectfully to the board. Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move that we accept the treasurer's report, subject to audit.
I second.
Max and Steve? Is there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. Could you please explain to everybody what the employment retention credit of $76,000 under 90 and change? Isn't that the COVID fund?
No.
What is that?
Can I explain it? It was a fund that was included in the Inflation Reduction Act under the Biden administration, and it was a fund that was generated to pay companies that retained employees during COVID, but it wasn't a PPP program, which we didn't qualify for. It was an individual program that calculated the benefits and whatnot that you pay to your employees during that time. And we have received 2 out of the 3 checks that we're hoping to get.
So we're expecting another check?
Maybe.
Potentially.
We'll see if the programs, if Congress still allows the program to be initiated. This was this was the smaller check we were expecting.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Question in the audience?
Yes, yep.
Bruce,
Could you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Simple question.
Okay.
Skip from Torrey Pines. Does this indicate an improvement, or are we going better or worse with respect to the initial budget?
We're treading water.
Okay.
We are ahead of the game. We do have a surplus. It's not a huge surplus, but it is a positive number. So,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, it's just hard for this kind of a report
Sure.
for us to recognize whether or not we're declining or improving.
I will do better next time. I'll try to
Bruce, can't you throw some extra money in there?
Donations are accepted.
There you go.
Any other comments, concerns, questions? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, any opposed? All right, seeing none, those have passed. Bruce?
Okay, in regards to what Joy had brought up earlier, our treasurer's report for the month ending February 28th, 2025, was one of the numbers was made in error, honest mistake. Thank you for those that brought it up. That means you're paying attention. But it should have read like this, and is it up there? Oh, it's up there. And I'm just dropping down to the general operating fund. This is where the mistake was made. The cash certificate of deposit on hand and at the end of February 2025 totaled $3,611,664. For the full year 2025, we are forecasting a total revenue of $3,482,865, driven by $3.1 million in homeowner assessments. The budgeted expenses for 2025 are $3,448,260. This leaves us with a surplus of $34,605 for this time at this year. And the number that was incorrect was the total revenue amount. and we were off by about 200,000. But it was just a honest mistake.
Can I call for a motion accepting the amended treasurer's report?
Can we go to page 6, please?
Page 6.
Can we show page 6 up on the screen? Nice. Okay. So we see total expenses of $257,657. So if we go to, now I'm not asking you to go to page 9, but if we take the total payroll of $109,984, and then that would balance out. So we just need to add the payroll into that, and it will be all right.
That's a different month. Bruce's update report was for February. What you're reading is March.
Well, it doesn't balance out. That's my point.
Bruce, do you want to go back and look at the February financials to show where it balances? Tim, do you have your February financials in your binder? You'll see on the top, it shows the month end that we're referring to. He was correcting the previous treasurer's report, month end February. What's in our report this month is March.
So I'm new to this position, and I'm still getting my feet wet. If you want to explain to me what you're seeing that's so far off, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, page 6. So basically, we just add the expenses together. It doesn't balance.
If you go to page 10, I mean, you're looking at the next month. This is not the month that we're talking about. If you go to page 10, total expenses $257,657, which is what it says on page 6.
So on page 6, if you just add up the column, it doesn't add up. We can just make note of it and then move on.
Are you talking about actual expenses or budgeted expenses?
I'm looking at page 6, expense, and then the total expense.
For actual or budget?
Can you go to page 6, please?
Are you on this month or
Yeah, it
January
does.
or February?
Right there.
So if you look at page 5, which has the headers on it, I will make sure the headers on every page. The left side of the financials are the month. The right side, go back please, Jody, page 5. So you'll see the actuals, the budget, the variance for the month, and then the year to date is the far right column. So Bruce's report should not be taken from here if you're looking at actuals. If you're looking at budget, it's okay.
Okay, any other questions?
So the paperwork that we're looking at, the report that we're looking at is correct. Is that what we're hearing?
For March, yes.
For March.
But
Okay.
Page 3 matches the financials for this one.
Right.
Not the correction page for 14, you have to go back to February for those.
Right.
Barbara, if I'm wrong, I don't believe I have anybody with a motion.
No motion yet.
Okay.
Well, if you look at the column that Tim is referring to, the 257, 657, if we go back to page 3, it matches the numbers. Total expenses for April were 257, 657. So the month ending March 31st, this report is correct.
Correct.
Right.
I'm going to move that we accept the treasurer's correction of the February financials subject to audit.
I second.
Right. Any other questions? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It's passed. All right, moving on to the facilities usage report, pages 15 through 17. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On the lakes usage report, the term or the category is technology. Is that the computer rooms?
That's our technology club.
That's
We
the
have
club.
a technology club.
Club.
Yeah,
Okay.
better, formerly the computer club, but they
Okay.
changed it to technology.
Got it. And that's talking about using those rooms over there then, or do they meet over here too?
They use their 2 designated rooms in the west wing of the lakes, and they also use the ballroom for their free seminars.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
has the sign-in terminal been fixed? Is it on more frequently, especially at night?
Yep.
So I question whether Coca plays a sign in.
We probably should send an email to our corporate club, Denise, and remind them this way,
Tell them that it's
because their
working.
numbers are pretty low, aren't they, Max?
Yes. Since they have 6 or 8 entry signals on the
Denise will send them a reminder.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Vistas Pool, pages 18 through 22.
All right. We've gotten together quite a bit of information that was requested last month. And this also goes back to February. You'll see on page 18, this came from Cal Pools. This is a diagram. Jody, can we go back to page 18 on the slideshow, please? Then we'll go to that one. Keep that one close. The picture that you're looking at on page 18 is the exercise pool only at the Vistas. So the request that we got last month, perfect Jody, the request we got last month was to get quotes on adding water volleyball hooks for their floating out of bounds lanes. So Cal Pools worked on this, and you'll see the blue dotted lines are the floats that would be the out of bounds for the water volleyball. It reduces the court size to 17 feet by 20, what is that, 39. So we're very close to a regulation volleyball, water volleyball court. What they cannot do is put the hooks and the floats and prevent entrance and exit from the pool while these are up. Therefore, that's why they're on the inside of both of the handrails. And then with the non-wall to the bottom left, the only place they have to put that anchor is right there at that edge. And then we would anchor the east-west floats, the shorter ones, to the north-south floats, making that full court. So that's their recommendation in order to accommodate the water volleyball out-of-bounds floats and hooks. And you'll see,
Are these floats the same as lane dividers?
no, they're a little bit different. They do have smaller floats, some rope in between them. It's not like a lap lane divider. So Josie, now we can go to the other picture. So then on page 21, which we're going to give you a clearer picture for the audience, this is all the projects that have been requested to get proposals on. Top left is the new gate and concrete sidewalk for the maintenance staff. The third handrail under the shade sail to the mid left. Removing the 2 ghost lane blue tiles. Add an exercise bar to the north wall. Add the 4 hooks for the water volleyball. And remove the blue tile in the exercise pool. If you were to approve doing all of those, the quote from Cal Pools to do the work totals $10,755.10. The addition to that would be the cost of the water to refill the pool and the chemicals to balance it for an additional $1,625 approximately. So I listed these as separate items per request.
Yes.
So just as a reminder, in February, you already made a motion for 3 of those items, and I understand we wanted to have a further discussion on that today. That was the gate, the concrete, and the third handrail in the large pool northwest corner.
So I'd like to take each of them sort of individually. So if we actually look at page 22, the first one would be the pool removal of the tile and patching it with the Pebble Tech. That would be the $5,820 plus the $1,625 approximately for the water and chemical balance once the pool is refilled again. We'd ask for a motion so that we can start a conversation on this topic.
So total would be $7,445 after water and chemicals?
Correct.
So you just need a motion to discuss?
Yes, in theory, we need a motion either to accept, to do this or not do it, but that opens the door for conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to do it.
Motion to accept.
Accept.
So moved.
You seconded?
Yeah.
Tim second.
Oh, Joe made the motion, Tim seconded?
Okay.
So my question is, if we remove the 2 lap lanes, they're currently tile? Is that right?
Yes.
They go-
If you look at your
Yeah.
page, yes. So where you see those lines, those are tile marks, yes. So there's are little individual tiles that make up that, what we call the ghost lanes
Okay.
in there. And then the ones that are in the aerobic pool area too.
Okay, so we're talking about replacing those with Peltec.
Right.
Is that the same color, or can we use a dark blue so it appears again to be lap lanes?
It's the same color. This particular color that we have in our pool is actually trademarked for cow pools. So it is a specific color that they get. Not all commercial grade pool companies get to do that. They went out and specifically got this trademark. Most of those pools are not these colors, that blue.
My only concern is that we're still gonna see that because of dialogue and all that stuff. I was wondering if we should entertain the idea of using a darker blue color. So then it's still Peltec, but the ghost lanes are still there for people that want to use.
For a while potentially, and even into the future, because they were not dialogue at the same time, it is going to have a little bit different look. And the hope is that over time with the sun, that it will start to blend and look the same, but it may not. It still may always be that way because they never came off the same dialogue.
Also, did the vendor say that it was almost impossible project to be able to square it off and there'd be bleed out?
We did ask that question. Joe asked that
There'd be
previously, so we asked
it.
about it.
It wouldn't be an attractive look, Joe. It would look odd.
There's never a clear cut, they would bleed, it would not, they don't recommend that finish.
We don't recommend mixing the color. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Try to
because
keep
the
it
saw
close.
cut and the removals are gonna be, they're never gonna be straight cuts like that. And then that includes the acid wash as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Kevin, come up to the podium, please.
Kevin Nielsen, Ironwood Estates. Have the Water Aerobics Club, the Water Volleyball Club, and just in general, the lap swimmers, people that are using these ghost lanes potentially, have they been consulted?
Well, the aerobics ones are the ones that brought it to us in the first place. Yes. Volleyball, as far as I know, are neutral on it. If it happens, it happens. If not, they're okay with that too. And the lap swimmers, for the most part, use the actual lanes. It will eliminate that potentially for them, but they still have 3, right? Or 3 lanes that they're able to swim in.
I have a comment. Hey neighbors from Eagle Ridge, and I'm the one that initiated getting the blue tiles removed because they are slippery. The other question I have, we have one new exercise rail. We actually probably need one at both ends because the water aerobics ladies use both ends of the pool, not the middle of the pool, because it's too deep. So it would be nice if we could have another exercise rail at the other end for the ladies that use that end. Also, you're adding an extra handrail at this one end, and you're making it more ADA compliant. Unfortunately, the stairs are not ADA compliant. The stairs need to be 7 inches deep for ADA compliance. And all of the stairs in the exercise pool and the big pool are 11 inches deep, which make them too deep for ADA compliant. So if you're going to put the extra handrail on to make that ADA compliant, I think you also need to make at least one set of stairs 7 inches deep.
John?
Joanne Sacco, Torrey Pines. I know I've been said this many times, but, and I was told to come to the board over this. This pool was built, what, about 2.5 years ago? We've had so many issues with this pool. The slippery tiles, if we remove those slippery tiles and they have to drain the pool, how long is it gonna take to have this done? Approximately. Have they said that?
I think the approximation is about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. Again, I was told to come to the board to find out who made that decision, because where is the cost of all of this going to be, this 10, 11, 12,000? Who's going to have to pay that cost? Is that coming out of the homeowners, our fees?
Yes, to answer that question, yes.
Yeah.
And who made that decision was every single one of the committees and this board made that decision. We are looking at doing this because Cal Pools is giving us a great deal on redoing it. But unfortunately, not everybody has that opinion that this is a slippery thing, that they are totally fine with the pool the way that it is. So we are trying to come up with a happy medium for the entire community at as low as cost as possible to do that.
And then when they did the pool, did they get 3 estimates to have this pool done?
Yes.
3 bids?
We went out for complete bids, yes.
Yes.
And how many bids did you get?
We ended up with 2. 1 pulled out right at the end.
And so it ended up with 1. In the minutes, there were 2.
That's what they just said.
That's what I
Right,
just
2,
said.
and 1 came
No,
out.
it had 3. 1 pulled out at the last
minutes?
minute that left 2.
In the minutes from back in 21 and 22?
I don't have them in front of me, I'm not going
Yeah.
to answer that.
Okay, can you please look at that? Look at those minutes?
Well, I'm not sure what the point is,
Well,
Joanne.
because in a thing called a procurement, over $10,000, you need 3 bids. So,
Well, you can get as many bids as you need to get. The hope is to get 3 bids, but not every project is going to elicit 3 bids. We have had many projects that we have tried and tried to get at least 3 companies to bid on something, and it does not always turn out that way.
well, it just seems that we're spending a lot of money here that whoever made that decision to put blue tile, slippery tile, and I've said this before, I just had a bathroom redone. I had to pick tile for my shower floor. And I picked this really pretty slippery tile. The guy said, don't do that because you are going to slip and fall and you can get hurt. So why out of a big swimming pool didn't somebody come up with that decision? And in the end, we as residents are gonna have to repay for all of this done. That's my whole point.
I get it. And once again, that's your opinion, and not everybody in this community holds that same opinion.
Well,
We're just trying to come to a happy medium that will work for everybody.
Okay, I played a game, and as I was afterwards exercising, a lady came out, she twisted her ankle on the slippery tile. Another girl twisted her knee on the slippery tile. One guy almost went into the end of the cement pool on the slippery tile.
Okay.
So that's like 3 people that I saw and heard of.
Okay, and all 3 were welcome to actually file claims too, if they got injured in our pool. And I don't believe that we had anybody that filed a claim about being
One made a
injured.
statement. One made a statement.
Okay,
Okay?
perfect.
I'm just worried about the money. And according to the money, the budget, there's been so many differences of this amount, that amount, somebody transposed a number. Can't we get a real accountant in here to overlook our books?
Joanne, if you'd like to pay for that,
We have an accounting.
we have an accountant and our budgets and our books get audited.
Why is there this saying this saying this?
Okay,
We're gonna
so
have-
I appreciate your opinion. We are on a particular topic right now.
Money.
Yeah, no, we're on the topic of whether or not we are going to do
It's
this.
gonna be
The fact of the matter about an accountant is off topic right now, so I'm gonna respectfully
It all
ask
relates to
that
money.
you take, we've heard your opinion.
It relates to money.
Yes,
And
thank
our
you.
money.
We get that. It's not a meeting without you, Mike. It's not a meeting without you.
I know, I have to say something, because I use that pool every day, and I think those tiles were put in there for direction. It wasn't for lap lanes, because there was nobody ever gonna lap swim in that part of the pool. And I walk in there every day almost, and I have had no problems. And my concern is the cost of this. If it's bothering the people that exercise, there's no tile in the other pool. I don't know why they have to have these changed when there's no tile at the other pool at all. And it's very nice the way it is.
Thank you, Mike. No, let's be nice. Joe, what?
The red on the drawing on page 18, it says, I'm referring to the red checkers. It looks like new tiles being installed in that part. That's not.
No, it's reflective of what the pool looks like right now. So that is what the tile pattern is, so that you can actually see where they're looking to put those hooks and the barriers.
Okay, thank you.
And those tiles are being removed, if I understand correctly.
Well, if we vote yes, then yes, yeah.
Those aren't staying.
Yeah, they're not new, those are what's existing.
The two
They look
those
the
things
pattern.
in the tile in the exercise area is what has been quoted to remove.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. We have a motion on the table to accept the drain pool removal tile of the two lap lanes, the exercise area, patch the pebble, where it's removed, the acid wash, the entire pool, and then for the refilling of the pool and the balancing of the chemicals, in the amount of $7,445. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. If one opposed, that is passed.
Can we ask why, Steve, you're opposing?
I think it's money not well spent.
Okay.
Okay. Next, let's look at the new gate northwest corner for the staff's use only at the concrete pour back at the gate. That's for their walkway. That's items 2 and 3 on page 22 that total $1,350. Can I get a motion?
Also move for discussion purposes.
I'll second that.
Okay. For discussion purposes?
Arson, could I ask, what is the need for a new gate?
Well, what happened is when they relocated the equipment room used to be on the east side by the restrooms, and they needed to expand it with the larger pool, so they moved it over to the west side, and the staff now has to go from the swimming pool out to the east side, across the sidewalk, over to the fire equipment room. So you'll see that 3/4 of the sidewalk is already there. There's just a small part of the sidewalk that needs to be re-added and then putting a gate in there. It's a maintenance request. Sean, do you have any input on that?
It would make the maintenance team way more proficient doing their job, being able to get to the pump room, just in case there was any kind of emergency. You know, time is valuable. So I definitely recommend having a gate there for the maintenance crew.
Okay. Wasn't there a gate there originally?
Yes.
I think there was.
Yeah, there was.
Well, that begs to ask, why did it get removed?
Was it during the pool project?
It would be nice to see a better drawing on how they want to do that. I think it would be kind of sort of in the way of the people that are using the sauna.
It's not, if you look at the concrete in the top left corner, the sidewalk goes right along that area. You would walk north of the handrails, and the handrails appear larger as a shadow, but there's a clear walkway there. It's only a request, so you don't.
So this would make it easier for maintenance, Sean, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
When we have one person,
More efficient.
one
yeah.
maintenance person that has to backwash, pull cleaners, do items.
They gotta go all the way around.
Paul, have you ever seen Paul Piercy running? How many of you have seen Paul Piercy running?
It's not a pleasant sight either.
He's not getting any younger, and he brought this to our attention, and it's a valid concern.
We don't have a motion on this. I move that we combine items 2 and 3 on the new gate and the concrete pour back for $1,350.
I second that.
Amy and Steve?
You have a question back here? Okay, hold on 1 second. Does the board have any other conversation or questions?
I guess I better throw my 2 cents in. Sean, in your opinion, is this a 911?
It's pretty high up on my priority list for the
Okay.
for the maintenance staff.
That carries some weight with me. I know that we are working on a configuration for our pickleball enclosure. And it might be prudent to wait to see what that is or is not, because the two could be combined together. That's my only thought on that.
Sure, and this does not have anything to do with draining the pool, so it could be a later addition.
Correct.
All right. Vince?
Hi, my only concern is, there's always, it seems to be in the last few months, they've been digging up pipes for the pipes and water and all that stuff in that area. Do we know what's going to be under that concrete? Because if there's an issue, then they're going to have to bust up the concrete to get to the water pipes. So that's something we should consider. What's underneath there before we cover it up with concrete?
I hear what you're saying, but that's normal. Yeah, the concrete does have to get busted out. Most of that plumbing, I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're already in sleeves to protect that. But that's just part of doing business. It really is.
And Bruce, I didn't look at it, but you are correct. Most of that would be sleeved because of the weight sitting on it. It's just not that plastic PVC line sitting there by itself. By sleeving, there's a bigger pipe, and then the small pipe that actually carries the water goes inside of that. So there's no weight on the existing water line.
Any other?
If it's moved into if we decide on the perimeter and it's moved into that project, is that going to make it a little less expensive than if we do it on a separate job?
The 13.
Cal Pools is giving us a lot of cost work. Yeah, I think we could do it similarly, Max. That's my only guess. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Anybody? All right, well, we have a motion on the table currently to accept the new gate and concrete walk there. As long as there's no additional comments or questions, I'm going to call for the vote.
I'd like to make an additional comment if that's okay. I like Karen's, but she had said that maybe we could just table this for now and then we can wait a month or two before we see what we're going to do with the perimeter fence.
Okay. Is anybody opposed to that?
You need a motion to table?
You have a motion on the table to approve in the amount of $1,350 by Amy and Steve.
You need a motion to table.
Well, first of all, we either need to have them withdraw their motion or we need to vote on that. So the question, because Amy posed the motion, is,
I do not withdraw my motion.
okay? So then I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, those opposed? All right. It did not pass.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next is the number 4 item, which is the third handrail at the northwest steps in the amount of $655.85. Can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to add the handrail exactly as drawn.
I'll second that.
Okay, conversation.
It says no, the rail only, no charge for coring or installation.
Correct. They're not going to charge us to install it, they're charging us for the sheer cost of the rail itself.
But they will install it?
Yes, they're
Yes.
doing it.
Yes.
Just at cost of the materials.
Okay, thank you.
I have concerns about the narrowness that you're creating at that opening.
Well, I have the same concern. That entrance there is 64 inches wide with a handrail on each side of that, which I look at it as it gives the ability for more than one person to walk in at the same time, that being couples, that may be somebody walking with their small grandkids into the pool, in and out, somebody can come in at the same time somebody's coming out. The only other entrance that we have that's that large is in the far corner, bottom right, which enters into the slap lanes. So it's not really a very easy entrance for people to get in and out of. Where the 2 entrances in the aerobics pool, both sides are about 45 inches wide. So the 2 on either side of the aerobics pools there are 45 inches. So that would be my biggest concern, because that particular handrail only just is airborne. It's not like it's a rail that's going to go down and into the pool. It's only going to be right there at that top, maybe that first step or so going in. So it's not.
I don't know that to be true. That is not going down into the pool.
No, this quote is for a handrail that starts in the pool deck, comes up, circles around, and comes
Okay.
back into the
Okay.
pool deck.
Because the proper one should be going into,
And the problem is, if you get boring into that pool,
and
we're
that
gonna
creates a
crack that
different,
shell.
whole different issue, yes.
That's correct.
These two sets of handrails are much narrower than this set and this set. So why would you narrow these for entrance and exit and restrict that when you have 40-something inches in these corners?
Well, it gives the people the opportunity to use both hands.
Right, but they can on the other 2 entrances. They have 2 entrances to use both hands. already.
Well, that, you're talking 4 feet apart as opposed to 30 inches. 32 inches
42
apart.
inches? What's a normal wingspan?
Well, I know what mine is, but most of our wonderful aerobics ladies, I don't know.
I believe ADA compliant is 24 inches for the handrails. And you need 2 handrails to go down into the pool, not just at the top. And then the pool depth at those stairs needs to be less than 13 inches that are currently there. So you need to have 7 inch, 6 at the top, and then each step is 7, and you need 2 handrails that are 24 inches apart to walk all the way down the boat ramps. That's ADA compliant.
I understand that, but I don't think our goal is here to make it completely ADA compliant. Do you agree with that?
After the fact, correct.
Well, it should have been done.
Well, okay.
It should have been done.
I don't want to go
in the senior community.
I agree, but it wasn't done, and now we have to work with what's existing.
None of our pools are built like that.
To ask for us to replace those stairs, we'll blow this right out of the water, literally. So is that big of an issue for you? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, well, it just, we live in a senior community.
Again, I understand that.
And it should have been done.
It should have been, but it was not.
Right.
Now we have to live with what we've got. And I'm trying to understand how we can make this more acceptable for our aerobics folks without starting all over again. So there has to be some compromise here. Do you agree with that or not?
Yes, if you get rid of the tiles, that's a big issue.
That's a big step, right?
Right.
Thank you.
So we'll take that.
That is the first positive comment I've heard. Thank you.
So a question on this rail. There's already a rail there,
There's 2.
There's 2, 64 inches apart.
and we're putting one in the middle?
That's the request.
Is that what it is?
Isn't there, put it in the middle.
But I got a question too, I don't quite understand. It's at the top of the stairs, what good is it going to do?
It protrudes out, Max?
No,
No, it doesn't go down.
It doesn't go down, it
It
just
doesn't go
protrudes out?
Yes. Sean, do you want to pull up a picture of that, please?
Yeah, do we have an elevation drawing of this rail?
I would recommend you don't waste your money on that extra little bar. Save your money. It's not gonna,
I agree.
it's not gonna help a whole lot.
Thank you for
And
that.
it's not gonna look pretty either. So leave it the way it is. And us that need 2 railings, we can do 1 railing and hold on to both hands.
Okay. Thank you.
Here's a compromise, Bruce.
Yep.
Yeah,
2 hands. She said they'll use 2 hands. I said, there's our compromise.
save your money.
Thank you. Is there not a handrail that is configured that could go down into the water without being fastened to the bottom?
No.
No.
We
Not
asked
big
councils
enough.
for that. No.
No way? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to show them that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, but not much.
Any,
So my concern is the fact that we have 1 lift that's in there for ADA compliance, and per ADA requirements, we need to have 2. And so when one grab, basically it says here, clearance for between 2 handrails need to be 24 inches apart. So
This pool is ADA compliant per Cal pools.
per Cal pools? Okay, well, Cal pools is wrong. So the, I apologize. So I have the 2010 ADA standards for accessible design, which is it's a federal law. So
Requirement is 1 lift, and we have ADA compliance at both pools, or we would not pass. We just had a county inspection, what, 2 weeks ago, Sean?
Yeah, no, this last week.
Yeah, county inspection, we have no violations or ADA drawbacks. And we wouldn't have gotten our permit if we weren't in compliance.
Okay, I'd like to see that report.
Okay. So we currently have a motion on the table to accept the handrail. After conversation, is there any additional comments or, okay? I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor of the third handrail, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? Okay. All right, that fails. All right. Next, I'm going to combine 5 and 6. This is to install the 4 rope anchors in the exercise area for the water volleyball floats, in addition to purchasing the water volleyball floats for a total of $1,345.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What about the exercise rail, number 4?
The exercise rail is number 7. I'm on 22, Max. On the list on 22. Okay, so, you got it. I will call for a motion.
Move that we accept this. I would like to see, do we have a picture of any of these things?
Hold on 1 second, Joe.
Let me second it for you.
Thank you.
Then now you can have your discussion.
I'm sorry.
I'll second that one.
Thank you.
I just don't want some cheap pool noodles being strung across this thing. I'd like to see what this looks like. Make sure it's gonna last. Maybe there's a warranty with it or something like that.
I have a picture of it. They're ropes with some floats. The problem with going with something that looks like the lap lanes is they're way cumbersome when you roll them up, and storage-wise will be an issue.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we have one person to put the floats in and take them out.
Yeah.
So we have to be cognizant of weight of one person. And that's what Cal.
I see we have some water volleyball people here. What is your feeling on what you just saw?
It's good. I like that.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you think that's good?
Because it's not, I thought it was gonna be like the ones that were in their lap, but that's much better. It's not all those little.
So my concern is the fact that we don't want people spiking the ball or jumping up and falling into the hardscape, right?
Right.
So that small little rope with little floats on it, to me, is not adequate. I would rather go with something that we have currently that's in there, that if somebody falls against it, they've got something that's gonna hold them in place.
That's true too. So either way, it's as long as all we care about is safety and that we have boundaries so people don't hit the wall. So whatever's best, that will help in the safety issue of getting hurt.
So the floats will prevent someone from you're breaking the fall with the floats?
I think we had more floats on that rope. Like, what does that say? 1 float per 3 feet or something like that?
No.
More than that.
It's hard to tell if it wasn't spread
Right.
out.
And then are we gonna store those in a deck box, or where are they planning on
We
being
have
stored?
storage in the old equipment room up by the restrooms.
Yeah, we keep them with their nets.
Your net's up there, right?
With their nets.
With their net
Yeah,
and
with
everything
their
else.
nets.
Yeah, we have wall storage.
Because Tim, I think that might work if we have like, I've seen those with almost a constant float, right? So it's as big around as the lap lanes, but it won't be so cumbersome for them to lift out. Because those appear to be about 5 inches round.
5 inches long, 3 inches wide, and the buoys are spaced about 15 inches apart, but they can be adjusted to desired spacing. And a lot of these ones, and that was just a generic picture, you know, obviously we didn't purchase them yet, so, but they are advertising these for safety also.
Does it say what they're actually designed for? Meaning, like, is it, because some of the research that I've done, basically other sports pools use the same floats like in the lanes.
Yeah, so they're, again, just on this generic explanation, to differentiate the shallow from the deep end of the pool. So they'll have a float that goes across to make sure that, you know, if there's any restrictions for kids going into the deep end, you know. But it's also for creating boundaries for sports courts as well.
Yeah. It seems like I've seen stuff like that in lakes or something like that for boundary purposes.
My only concern is the storage of the big cumbersome lap lanes. Those are usually rolled up. If you've ever seen them at a public pool, they're rolled up, they take a lot of space, and we don't have, I don't believe we have storage, adequate storage for those types.
I think if we went with the other, we'd have to get reels
Yeah.
and roll the wheels and put them in storage.
Yep.
For one person to do that with those 4 handrails at the lap size. Because we even, since we've been taking the north lane down, we've had to create a hook and not take it out of the pool and just drag it to the other end because it's difficult for one person. But there's got to be a compromise in between, right? We just need to put our heads to it and find, you know, the appropriate. But 15 inches in between is closer than we thought.
Yeah, I think it is. Okay.
Again, I'm looking at your use. Are you content with what you saw still?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. I'll wait for Mr. Allen. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Anybody opposed? None? All right, that passes. All right, last item.
Marcy?
Yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Ray Jansen, I live in Monterey Greens. Okay, we appreciate what the board, the money they're spending, and as far as the lane markers go in the net, the club puts them in and takes them out, so the maintenance person won't have to do that. We don't expect them to crawl around in the water to put up the net and the ropes.
No, we have to take the lanes in and out. You can do the nets, but we'll have to do the lanes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're offering to do it.
No, I think a helping hand, Ray, would be absolutely wonderful.
We'll be there to help.
But
and we plan on coming up with some money to help with this project.
you guys are awesome.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you, Ray. All right, item number 7, 4-foot exercise bar on the north wall. Cost is $1,584.25.
So many years ago, there were some self-installed handrails at both the vistas and the lakes. They were here when I got here. Speaking to maintenance men, they were self-installed. They lowered the water level, installed them, and they were not done correctly. They were not the right ones. They rusted. They would pull out. This is doing it with cow pools and doing it correctly, but that's what makes them $1,600 each. Each, and now there's a request for 2 of them just in the vistas. And I'm sorry, but we can't put one anywhere near that handicap chair. And that entrance in the northwest corner.
Do we have them at the lakes pool?
We do not.
So this would be an addition?
This is a new addition, correct?
Is this below the water line then, right?
Correct.
And
It's
what
in
height
the
from
water all the
floor?
time.
At what height? Does it say? Is there a certain
Did
height?
Scott tell us that, Sean, the height?
I think it was around 45.
42 to 45.
42 to 45 inches.
I thought this pool was only 3 feet deep.
No, this is in the 4-foot section.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me to kind of address that a little bit?
Okay, hold on one second, Joy, okay? So I need to get a motion, please, so that we can continue a conversation.
I'm sorry, motion to accept.
So moved.
Okay,
Well, if this is something that we haven't had ever, what,
We did have many, many years ago. They were self-installed,
what's the length of this rail?
4 feet.
4 feet. I'm concerned of the cost for a 4-foot
4 feet,
bar.
4 feet long.
4 feet.
Bruce, two of them.
That red line is.
Well, yeah, if we
Right.
need two.
So I hate
Would that be one or two people able to use that?
At most, two,
Yeah.
at most.
So it's a special design. It can only stick out so far from the wall, so nobody gets hung up underneath it. The ones that you don't want, it's gotta be a certain curve, so a swimming suit or hair doesn't get hung up on it. And it's got to withstand the chlorine and the acid all the time with it. And he talks about that. It is, as discussed, the benefit of this option is that they are not required to be bonded, which makes the installation much more cost effective. The cost per 4-foot exercise bar is the $15.84. So they don't have to go into the bonding of the shell. But they're pricey.
And the need for this?
I think that's what Joy
But
wants.
That's what I'm trying to address here. Okay. Okay. First of all, I basically want to say that eventually I hope we have some type of project committee when we do projects that get input from the people that use the facilities.
We do, and we did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
So, 8 months worth.
That's behind the scenes, that's not a
Quit
forum.
bringing it up.
Okay, why that is important is because not everybody is short as me, okay? And the people that are taller, in the old pool, you've got to understand, we went from 3.5 feet to 5 feet in the middle, then back down. So people in our old pool in the distance, depending on their height, could be in different places of that pool. So there are people that are like 5'10", there are people like me that are 5'2" or 5'1", and so we had a range that we could actually be in to have the water at a better height for us to exercise. Now the pool is 3 foot all the way across. It's almost too small for me. So the people that are tall, that like to do the Vista pool, that live in the Vista area and like to have their neighborhood pool, they exercise in the 4-foot pool where the 4-foot is now. So usually you have to either grip something during part of the routine or sit on the ledge to do some of the exercises. So what they're needing is that bar to grip on while they do the exercises. But the reason this kind of all happened is because we have a 3-foot pool. So anyway, that is why. So they can actually use that pool to exercise. They grab the bar during some of the exercises. Okay.
Correction, the exercise pool is 3.5 feet in the center.
I measured it myself.
Are longer rails available? 4 feet doesn't seem very long for this kind of price. I was just wondering if,
But Joe, you're looking at 3, 4, 5, and at the ladder, it's 6 foot deep. So if you put anything longer than that, you're going to go from 3 foot, then you're going to go into the 4-foot area, 5-foot area.
yeah, so people of different heights can still use a rail. That's my point. Because if we're just putting one 4-foot rail in one section,
1 or 2 people at a
for
time
that,
and all can use it.
right. I don't know,
I mean, we can get a cost.
it's a lot of
It's
money
gonna be more
for 4
expensive.
feet,
Yeah, and the cost will only go up from there.
$400 a foot.
Right, as we get more. And, I mean, I kind of agree, the lakes doesn't have it, I exercise at the lakes, I hold on to, wait a minute, I'm 5'2" on a really good day. Today, I'm having a good day. But I hold on to the pool deck to do stuff. Because if I'm over in that really deep water, I don't have to have, because it's, everybody can use that pool deck versus 2 people on a 4-foot.
I'm sure the cost is because this is below the water
It's a
line.
material that will withstand the chemicals and stuff in the pool and not deteriorate, unlike what Karen had talked about that they had that was falling off the pool sometimes because of the deterioration.
Is there a bar that's allowed to be put on to the vertical edge of the pool deck? So it's out of the water line?
That becomes the trip hazard, doesn't it?
No, it's on the vertical edge, not the horizontal edge.
It'd be on the tile line?
No,
I don't
above
know, the stucco would, you'd have to make sure you.
it. And just drill into the
Didn't we
cement
ask
decking.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, the way that Cal Pools recommends installing the handrails is under the water. Not recommending putting it above the water.
Right, in fact, we inquired about the volleyball hooks going into the vertical side of the pool deck, and they don't recommend that.
Who wanted to have this put in? Is it our aerobics folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Not me, because I don't use that sign, but there are people in my water room.
Is anybody here that's still a part of that group here?
No, they came to about 5 different meetings because we thought it'd be brought up, and then it was never brought up.
I'm sorry, no one's going to be able to hear this conversation on video.
So no, there isn't anybody here.
So there's no one here.
I'm from the water.
I wish they were here to convince me that we need this. This doesn't look like a very wise use of our money for a 4-foot pole. If it was longer, I might reconsider it, but I struggle with this, the cost for this.
So you're saying if we went with an 8-foot, you would be more likely to vote for it?
Yeah, for $1,500, yeah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be $1,500.
No, I absolutely would.
So,
Would you like me to get a quote on the 6 and 8 foot?
But then how can we act on this in a timely fashion? So if I think we should, Karen, I really think we should be aware of the needs of some of our folks in our community here for this, and that's why I was wishing they were here.
Maybe the clubs would be like volleyball and contribute some funds?
And then but they're not here to hear that, but
Because everybody's worried about money. But if we look at page 18 in your binder, because of the delay from this in February, the contractor has stated, at this point, the weather has warmed up beyond the point where I would typically recommend draining the pool, a pool the size of Westford Villages. Any work requiring the pool to be drained, lap lane redo, rope anchor installation, etc., will need to be scheduled while the high temps are below 90 degrees. So this is not happening this spring or summer.
Yeah, so we have time.
Mike, can you come up?
Wasn't there a rail there before?
Mike, come up to the microphone, just so that everybody can hear it on the recording, so they understand why we're answering the way we're answering.
I'm trying to test my memory here, but I think before the pool was remodeled, there was a rail in that
There
part.
was a 2 to 3 foot rail
Yeah.
that rested regularly and gave
And
us
they
a
used
lot
to
of
hang
headaches.
on to that when they were in that area.
But it was smaller than this one.
Oh,
Now we're talking about going bigger.
maybe some of those remember that, I don't.
Yeah, they do. So you could table that and we get a quote.
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Tim, are you fine with that?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. So withdrawing that motion, then we will go ahead and table this conversation, and we would request that you please get a quote for a 6 and/or 8, whatever they come in lengthwise, rail. Exercise bar, excuse me.
Well, if Bruce, you must have looked at the 4 foot and divided that into 1,600 and came up with the $400 a foot.
yeah.
So an 8 foot rail would be 3,200.
Maybe they give us a discount.
Because it's longer, yes.
And I do want to bring up is that if you do one pool, when we drain the lakes pool and acid wash it, expect for that request to come again.
So Karen, on those lakes, though, there's a bench.
You gotta come up to the microphone.
Okay. Sorry.
That's a trip hazard.
Yeah. I'm having to get those around here.
All right, my name is Jennifer. I'm in Pinehurst, Jennifer Stout. So I did use that rail years ago. But when you're looking at the lakes, the area that we're talking about, the exercise area, there is a bench inside, it's a setting bench all the way around that entire area. At the kiddie pool, we call this, the aerobics pool, it has a bench all the way along the side and the end. So you can't, I don't know that the rail I used before was at that area that's 3 to 4 or 5 feet. You don't need one where there's a bench between you and that rail. That's not the purpose of it. So the lakes has no place unless you go around the corner to the 4 or 5 foot, and I'm 5'6" now, so I'm not going to be using a rail up here at my shoulders.
It's the exact same depth and the location around the corner at both pools.
Your pool starts at the corner of where the volleyball plays. Starts at 3, 4, 5. So it makes me think that you're going to put that closer to the 4 and 3 foot. That's where I exercise every day.
Closer to the 4 and 5 foot, not the 3 foot.
Well, you have 3 there on the right at the corner. There's a 3 before it gets to the 4 foot. So you don't have the 4 or 5. A 5 foot person, you'd have to be 6'10" to actually use a rail like at your, probably between your chest and your waist would be the appropriate place to use a rail. Am I wrong? Okay.
Thank you.
I think we should also consider, there's gotta be portable rails that you can bring into the water, like a ballet rail, made out of PVC or something.
For a commercial application, Joe, I've never seen such a thing.
Yeah.
Not for a commercial.
How do we get anchored?
It doesn't get anchored, it just has a platform so it doesn't tip over.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
So that's something we can consider. Maybe we'll do some research and try to find something like that. This is very expensive for one person to grab onto it and exercise, so there's multiple.
I agree.
Something to look into.
Okay. All right, so we'll table that conversation and get some additional information on it. So, all right, moving on in our agenda. Next is new business, majority of which in the beginning is our recommendation for the different committees. And I will start with the Architectural Control Committee. The ACC had 2 open positions. The committee only received 2 applications, and that was from the current committee members of Joanne Green and Ron Lauman. And on behalf of the ACC, we're recommending that Joanne and Ron retain their committee positions. Both have been extreme assets to the committee, and their continued commitment to this committee should be recognized. I would make a motion that we accept Joanne Green and Ron Lauman to the Architectural Control Committee.
I'll second that.
Any conversation, questions?
Thank you both for volunteering.
Yes.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. None opposed, that passes.
Just one comment on that.
Yes.
Both these candidates are excellent people. We're all happy to have them.
All right. Next is Landscape and Facilities Committee. Bruce?
Thank you. Landscape and facilities, we had 4 folks submit applications. We had 3 openings. After a thorough process of interviewing new candidates for this committee, it was a consensus of this panel to recommend the following 3 people for Landscaping Facilities Committee. 2 applicants are returning members to this committee. Our third choice is Bob Canero. Bob is new to this committee in Westbrook, but brings a multitude of experience with him. Bob previously served on a similar committee in Sun City West. We ask the board accept our selections for this committee. Thank you. Oh, and the names are Bob Canero, Paul Schnesky, and John Perdall.
I will move we accept the nominations in the committee.
I second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? None? All right, passes. All right. Next is Long Range Planning Committee. The Long Range Planning Committee had one position. That committee only received one application. And that was the current committee member, Jim Schultz. We would request that Jim Schultz continues to retain his committee position. He's provided a wealth of knowledge and has been a vital asset to the committee. I would move that we accept Jim Schultz to the Long Range Planning Committee.
I second.
Any questions, comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, passes. All right, moving on. Next is Rec Committee, Recreation Committee. Max?
The interview committee of the Recreation Committee met with 6 candidates for the 4 open seats on the committee. We had 6 people coming out for the interview. I thank them very much for considering the position. It was not an easy task, and I thank the committee members and Marcy, who stepped in at the last minute since I could not be there. The 4 nominees to the committee are as follows: Robert Canario for the social seat, Sally Klein for the sports seat, Jim Schultz for the physical health and well-being seat, better known as fitness, and Kathy Fernandez for the cards and games seat. I nominate these 4 residents to be to the Recreation Committee and ask for board approval. We did have one person who did interview and withdrew their application the next morning.
I second that nomination.
Any comments, questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, that passes. All right. Next agenda item is the second Sunday marketplace for the season of 2025-2026.
I'm going to jump in with a nomination that the board recommends or would like to task Denise and Colby to research management company or team or person to manage the marketplace for the 2025 and 2026 season. The current manager seems to be letting the market falter some, and I would like to see if we can breathe some fresh air into it. So that's my nomination. And you're welcome, Denise.
Do you need a second on that?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any conversation? I think that that's a great idea. We did receive some emails from some people that were concerned about the second Sunday market, and we're taking that into consideration. I think that that's a great motion, Amy, to ask that we make some additional research on that and see if maybe there is a way to bring this market back a little bit and make it a little bit more.
I would like to also add that over the years from when the marketplace was first started, there's several other very large markets that have developed that are in the area and are definite competition. So this next season, I suggested it be a trial to see if in fact it remains a viable venue for such a place.
And I did read the emails, and I have to agree with most of them. I'm close by there, and the community path is a main artery on those second Sundays. And we do need to figure out a way to make everybody happy so there's not a lot of golf cart traffic going through the second Sundays, disturbing the vendors and people that shop there. There is a solution that we finally got around to. So I'd be happy to work with you on that should you accept the task.
So that solution is that we don't have any vendors in the far south parking lot. That's only where the vendors park. And then people coming through the pathway have access through that. And the other areas are completely closed off, as well as the admin entrance.
Yeah, that's when they moved it over to the east side, correct? Yeah. So if we keep that south parking lot open for traffic, if you will,
Traffic and parking.
to go behind the wood shop as well, and then that little driveway in between the wood shop and the ballroom.
Yeah, that's safety.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be key.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
I had questions on the marketplace. It's a 7-month season, and we currently receive $550 a month flat fee from the manager for using the parking lot.
Okay.
$3,850 a year in revenue.
All right.
Better known as 2 handrails.
All right. So we have a motion. I will call for the vote if there's no additional conversation. All those in favor? Okay. Any opposed? None? Okay, it passes.
I do have a question though, really quick.
Yes, ma'am.
How do we monitor that? Say, for example, somebody's not, Denise, I don't know if this falls underneath you, but if somebody's not performing, do we not that, correct it really quickly?
What do you mean by non-performing?
Let's say, for example, that the person that's running the program, the farmer's market, isn't performing to our expectations. Can we nip that in the bud?
I think we can have a conversation, but my understanding is that we do a contract with them for the season. Is that correct? Or
We don't have a written contract with them, but we sure can. To be very blunt, we hear from the residents if they're not doing their job, whether it's posse or pack or the residents in general, and the usership, as we know, like Joe talks about, people coming through, we can tell when the visitorship is down, and the vendors tell us we're not coming back because it's not worth our time. So yeah, there is a way to monitor that, and it's working with the market manager each month.
Okay.
So what I would suggest we do is in the interviews, ask for reports. How many vendors did you have? Did you have any positive or negative feedback from your vendors? And they share that with us each month.
Okay.
Amy, you did it for 12 years. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I do agree. It is really very closely monitored, and the individual that we initially hired, we hired someone who had a lot of experience. So along the way, the market did seem to deflate considerably, but here again, I'm going to say that there's other better markets just because of the foot traffic. So whoever we recommend and ultimately hire has a tough job because we can't guarantee the thousands in foot traffic. I used to sit out front and count, and roughly we would get about 700 shoppers a month. I suspect now when I've done informal counts walking around, it's more like 300 to 400. So.
All right, thank you. All right. Moving on to our next agenda item, and this is a homeowner's appeal, Lakeview Estates. I will present the appeal and then we will go from there. So the person who is appealing this is Board Member Joe Bernier.
I think he has to abstain, doesn't he?
He does have to abstain. He gets to be a homeowner sitting up here at the moment. So Joe has applied for an additional driveway to come off of his one-car garage. The twofold on this particular appeal and denial was in our standards, we allow for no more than 30% of the front of the yard to be of a concrete nature, whether that be concrete or that be pavers, the combination thereof. Joe, we estimate is about 33%. Before you do your hush, as ACC, we cannot give a variance. We must take it to the board, and the board may grant the variance if they choose to do so. We have to stay within the standards that are written. So that is the first part of his appeal. The second part of his appeal is that he is requesting to keep his existing driveway. He's requesting to keep his existing paver band that he has next to that, and then pour his third-car garage driveway, for which there will be additional pavers on both sides that already exist to the right side and exist to the left side. So in our standards, we don't allow there to be a difference in material for your driveway. As for example, if you drive around, all three-car garages either have all pavers or all concrete that comes off of them. And that is the additional thing that he is asking to be allowed to have and keep that existing banding there. So, I need to call for a motion, don't I? Yes. So, I am asking for a motion so that we can start a conversation and Joe may...
Two separate motions, Marcy?
I'm actually going to ask for two separate motions because of the two differences in the issue. So if we want to, I would like the motion first on the percentage, and then we can then discuss the driveway material. So if I can get a motion on the percentage of the concrete, I would appreciate that.
I'll make the motion to approve this, changing the percentage from what is it, 30 to 33?
Allowing a 3% variance.
Allow a 3% variance.
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Yep.
Thanks, Max.
Max. Okay. Any conversation from the board first on the 3%?
Yeah, I struggle with this because once we go down this road, it's good for everybody. It's such a small variance in my eyes, and I don't see the harm.
So it's okay to open the door. So if somebody comes before us and wants 35 or 36 or 37, Bruce, are we going to continue to go down that road?
That's my concern.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
What's 3%? What's 3% of a million? I'd rather have that than 3% of the dollar. I mean,
Can I?
this, how long has this been going on?
7 years.
Okay.
And how much time, effort, and money has gone into this? And I'm just not talking about your time, Joe. The folks out there and the rest of us that live here.
Okay, so I want to preface that real quick, Joe, just a second. I understand that this particular issue has gone on over a few different applications. This particular application was filed after a 22 amendment to what we call the garage addition standard. We did not have a garage addition standard. We had a room addition for which there was no conversation that discussed a driveway. He has now filed his application after that standard is now in place. So we, with that standard, allow that additional driveway, which was not part of the original conversation because that was not in our standards at the time. But that is what's in the standard now. So that's why he is here asking for that little bit of additional thing. And I don't disagree with you, Steve, that where does it stop on that, but.
Can I make a comment about where does it stop?
Hold on a second. Does anybody else have anything up here before?
So you put the addition on knowing that you couldn't put a driveway there. Is that the gist of this?
No, that's very much incorrect.
Well, no, yes. The thing is, we used to do the golf cart and one-car garages as a room addition, okay? But the room addition never addressed having a driveway or anything to it. So therefore, we had to go back to a different standard to have that conversation. So ACC in November of 22, which came here and approved by the board, added a garage addition. That garage addition has the marker that the configuration of the driveway from an automobile garage addition is not to exceed the width of the overhead garage door and must be curved to attach to the original driveway or straight to attach to the public sidewalk. Configuration will be reviewed for approval on a case-by-case basis with the ACC. Okay. Then going further, that the driveway must have the same driveway material or quoting as the existing garage driveway, and that no more than 30% of the front yard shall be concrete or concrete pavers. So that is what we are here on today's appeal about. Joe.
Thank you. I would like you to know that hundreds of homes, excuse me, hundreds of homes here, even built by the builder, far exceed the 30%. And almost every single condo community far exceeds the 30%, if not 70%. So it's challenging also to be okayed to build a garage. I don't know of anybody that has a garage without a driveway. So it's been a challenge for me to try and get the driveway done and meet these factors that I think if there was a way to reconsider the 30%, we really should. Because like I said, most three-car garage homes in Westbrook exceed that. So just asking for a little bit, so it looks good, instead of 3%, a little tiny gravel area.
When you originally applied for the garage, it was for a golf cart garage, was it? Isn't that what your application cited?
No. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
I submitted for an addition that included an expansion of my master bedroom, a craft area, a closet, and a full one-car garage. Those were the architectural drawings that were submitted and approved. Prior to that, that was 2018. Prior to that, 2017, when I first had an idea to make something in addition, it was all behind my fence. And when that was okayed, pursuant to getting permits, the city does not allow a garage type of installation behind your gate. The garage installation has to be out in front of the gate. So that initial, what the HOA called the golf cart garage, went away. And then I resubmitted for what exists there now and what got permitted for. And the architectural drawings were all I submitted. Somebody at the HOA office copied and pasted the old language of what I asked for onto the new application. And they actually altered it. I didn't find this out until Marcy explained when we met with the ACC that I submitted both times for a golf cart garage. So, in looking at my file, I discovered that the 2017 documentation was copied and pasted onto the 2018 submission.
So did you not submit an application with the plans? That's what you
With
said?
the architectural plans, I did submit an application, and that's all it was with the architectural plans. There was no sketch. This description, even on the second app, is time-stamped 2017, and all of the penmanship is it was a copy. Somebody had copied it and pasted it.
So can you just provide us with your 2018 application that you submitted with the plans? That resolves the whole thing, right, Marcy?
Yeah, but I'd like to get back onto this particular appeal because
Okay.
you and I had already had this conversation, but before you even were on the ACC committee was, I would be happy to sit down and meet with you and with Jody and stuff outside of that. So I would like to get back to the appeal that's at hand here today. So the question on the table is allowing the 3% to start with regards to the driveway.
Yeah. And it's not a straight lot. My front lot is far less than the back. So another consideration would be on, like the city even has curvature lots. They allow more percentage to be taken up with. So I think that's something we should consider in the community as well. And like I said, the builder made plenty of homes that exceed that.
Right. Okay.
So are you totally opposed to reconfiguring your driveway to reach that back, get rid of that 3%?
It doesn't, there's no way to really get rid of the 3%. It's got to go straight to the street to make it look right. Otherwise, you're going to have a sliver of rock, a 3% area of rock, which just doesn't make any sense.
You have to consider just branching off your existing driveway into that garage.
I don't understand what you're saying.
There is pavers there already, Bruce?
Yeah, go through the pavers and.
Yep, that
attach
he
to the road.
uses currently, but he wants to come straight down to the
I know,
street.
I understand that, but if he were to be a little more open to reconfiguring that a little bit, you can get rid of that 3% variance, and I don't see an argument in it.
I drew him a plan to do just that very thing when the board turned it down a little while ago. So,
Okay.
Yeah, we want stuff to look visually, you know.
Yeah, you do, but, I don't see anything offensive. I just pencil out on your little drawing here. I don't see anything offensive about it. Again, I struggle, Joe, if we give you this variance, then we're open to more variances.
But when you look at
There's a lot of variances out there already with, even from the builder. They built the community.
You may believe that, and it might be true, but again, I'm working with what I see now.
But when you look at the actual picture and where you have that community path, it looks funny with not doing it the 33%, and it would actually be more aesthetically pleasing if we did the 33%. So there are exceptions to the rule.
Lynette?
Lynette Jones from Fairway Springs. You know, Fairway Springs has, probably 90% of the houses, they're all single-family homes, but probably 90% of them have over 30% of the lots, the front lot is concrete driveway. And it's probably actually a lot more than that for most of the homes. Probably 50 or 75% of the yard is concrete. Just,
Can you, so that's just your opinion, correct?
well, you
Did you measure, I mean, are you speaking from fact or are you just estimating?
Did I measure 90% of the homes? No, because it's easy.
Okay, well, that's
to
what you stated, though, please.
Yeah.
So new construction on an existing lot is under the consideration of the standard that is currently in place. At the time that your subdivision was built, that standard probably wasn't even around, but it, in future years, got passed and is enforced. So we always enforce and for compliance what the current standard is when it is something that is to be newly constructed on a lot.
Right, I realize that. I'm just saying, the reality is there are lots of houses with
Sure.
more than 30%.
Got it.
There's also a lot that have been built within the standards, so it's kind of a,
Yes.
this application.
Just out of curiosity, Joe, how far is the offset from where this drawing is showing me where your two-car garage stops and then we go back to the one-car garage? What's the length of that?
Are you
So I
talking
wanna know
front
what
to
the
back?
offset is.
Front to back, is that what you're talking about?
Front of your two-car garage to the front of your one-car garage.
Yeah, I think that's about 6 feet. It had to stay behind the, per permits, had to stay behind the electrical box. That's on the side of that garage, the two-car garage.
So your single-car garage was offset. You must have power there somewhere. To get that, so you have clearance, or someone has clearance where the power box is.
Yeah, the power box is on the west side of the house, left,
So this drawing isn't the scale then either?
it is the scale.
So you're talking about right there?
Yes,
Joe?
yes.
Well, that's more than 6 feet. Yes.
It looks more like maybe 8.
Are we talking the same thing, Joe? We're talking this.
Yeah.
That's
I
8
believe
feet,
it.
then your house is 18 feet wide. And that's not quite accurate, right? You agree with that?
What do you mean, the house, the two-car garage section?
I mean, if you're calling that 6 feet.
Well, I don't know what it matters, so take 6, 7.
Well, it matters to say.
I don't have a tape on it, but I'm happy to get that for you if you'd like. The one-car garage left to right there is 8-foot door and then 2 and 2, so 10 feet left to right. So that's probably, yeah, you can probably right. It could be 8 feet in front of that.
This the community path, that's an easement, is it not?
Correct.
Which is why currently you cannot pour concrete right up to it. Or are you gonna pour concrete right up to it?
Yeah, I can pour concrete right up to it. Talking to the city guys and everything, they actually recommended that I saw cut a bit of the asphalt because the asphalt's not straight. So I was gonna saw cut the asphalt so it's a nice straight line, like what's on the drawing.
Just out of curiosity, and I'm gonna ask a question and see what happens here. Why has this issue taken 7 years to come to some kind of fruition?
Well, I didn't know when I had appealed before several times, I did not know that on paper, everything that was given to the board and you guys and the ACC was I submitted for a golf cart garage. I had no idea that that's what was on everybody's binders. Being over there, I just had what I submitted.
So this
got
is
copied back. So, and then the past I guess the past 2 or 3 years would just be me and my schedule, frankly. I haven't been able to keep bringing it back.
You keep calling this a one-car garage, but didn't you just state that there's living quarters behind it?
Behind it, yeah. It's a 26-foot deep garage.
So it's more than a garage?
The addition is more than the garage.
It was a room addition as well.
Yeah, closet, room addition, extension of the master.
And I'm going to assume, and you know what happens when you assume something, someone pulled a permit to do this.
Yes, sir, I did.
So, somewhere during the permitting process, the discussion of a driveway never came up. You were just going to put this single car garage or golf cart garage or someplace to park your bicycles without having any concrete in front of it.
That's not true. It was brought up with the city, and it was brought up on my drawings, the architectural drawings I submitted for approval. Have a driveway, obviously. It doesn't show it all the way because of the construction all the way to the sidewalk, but it comes off the garage. And I guess, you know, I've never been in construction for over 30 years, and I've never constructed a garage without a driveway.
So you built the garage hoping you could get a driveway?
I wasn't hoping anything. I was,
but
full impression I'd be putting a driveway in. And when I was putting the driveway in, Karen and Susan came over and stopped me, stating I had submitted for a golf cart garage and it had to angle back to the existing driveway. And that's where
very common here.
If you have a golf cart garage, it's common.
Well, my neighbor across the street has one exactly like it. He has a huge pineapple palm there, so he poured the concrete around it so he could get in and out of his golf cart garage.
Yeah, this isn't a golf cart garage. I back my truck in there, my boats, trailers. It's a real garage. Golf cart garages are usually 6 feet wide, and all you can get in there is a golf cart. So I understand the misconception of the past boards and the past ACCs.
And again, I would just ask, just provide us with your application from 2018. We'll make the file right.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
Hate to drag this out any further, but maybe if you look at those 2018 drawings, and I think maybe defer this for now, and let's look at those drawings and see what they actually say. And hopefully it will take another 7 years for fruition to come to this.
Do you mind if I run home and get those drawings for your?
I do.
Yeah.
So, can we table this, allow him to provide that additional information, and we can talk about this next month?
I agree.
Are you okay with that, Joe? So that we can come to a conclusion?
Yeah, I'll bring the drawings next month.
Okay.
It'll just be on the agenda like this again then?
Yes, and find your 2017 application, or 18, excuse me, 2018 application.
I have it out of here, but I'll just bring in the drawings you want us to.
We're gonna, so Bruce, do you have an issue if you withdraw your motion and we table this for next month?
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay. Max, are you fine with that?
Oh,
yeah. Okay. All right. All right, so we will table this and allow you to get us some additional information on that, Joe, before we make a decision. Okay. All right. One more, homeowners appeal.
What?
Oh, sorry.
You got part 2 of that, so you're not.
We're gonna table the whole thing.
Gotcha.
Absolutely, we're gonna table the whole thing.
Thank you, just clarification.
Yeah, we're gonna table it all. Okay. All right, next application, homeowner application appeal. This is for Mike and Tina Altis. This is a request for a wrought iron railing to be installed in the front of their home. They did come before the ACC committee, and we had to deny the application based on the fact that we do not have a current standard that addresses their request that they are making. So,
I move that we accept this application.
I'll second.
Could I say something?
Just 1 minute.
So we have Joe
Max.
making the motion and Max seconding it.
Okay. Questions on the board, comments?
I first want to make a comment about the picture that's included here. Since this picture was taken, you all have done a driveway pavers with a curved area going up to the front door area. Looks really good, by the way. So, that being said, it can be misleading with the drawing, or it may not be clear with the sketch as well of what's being asked for, but turning the page to the railing drawing, it does show a better view of what is being asked for, and it kind of reminds me of those panels that are going up, those decorative panels. It's kind of a railing design amongst those. It's not just a bar. And yeah, it's very artistic. I like how it looks.
So this is only, I don't see any measurements here, maybe I should.
The measurements are on.
Okay, I got it. 15 feet, I was gonna guess 16. I was in the ballpark.
So there's a curve.
Yep, follows the curve.
It stops at the curve, so it doesn't come anywhere near the street. I'm gonna guess a little more than halfway down the driveway, nowhere near the sidewalk.
No.
So probably on this picture, Bruce, it's probably close to where that tiny bush is by the ocotillo, to the right of the ocotillo. From there to almost touching the wall on the front corner of the house.
And this is going to be to safely facilitate, is it Mike, getting in and out of the house?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
I know we have standards here, and we have them for a reason, but there is always room for compromise. So I'm willing to listen to any of the other board members regarding this issue. Having spent a weekend with someone that has Parkinson's, I do not see an issue here, but
I also do not see an issue here, and I'll say why. It's not coming all the way to the street. It's tucked back against the house for the most part. And I think they've been very sensitive to how it's going to look. And as an aging community, I think we need to probably work on a standard for this type of situation. And what you've done, and I'm assuming all 3 panels are going to look alike.
There possibly is 4 if you look at the drawing.
Okay, that's a different drawing than I got.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the sketch.
And it's not a fence that's on there, it's a railing.
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, a weight-bearing railing, it's just not a facade.
I'm going to say that I think it really adds a contemporary aesthetic to the home. And I would encourage the ACC to actually look at their current standards and maybe change that standard to allow more of this type of application to homes. That's my input. It's dynamite, and I like it.
I agree, Amy. I think it enhances the entrance to the house as well.
It's okay.
So I understand.
It's okay.
I've got one sketch here.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We just want to understand I want to understand where we're headed with this, that's all. I don't mean to be offensive to you in any way. I'll withdraw my question. We're good. Thank you.
It's okay.
So, just so that everybody in the room knows, so that for going forward, this is the exact process in which we have to take for some of our homeowners. When we do not have a very specific standard to that, as the ACC committee, we cannot go ahead and okay that. We have to allow the process to bring it here. And the board, if they choose to do that, is in their purview to do it. And the same thing as Amy said, requesting that we also look at that standard. ACC had already said that we were in agreement that we would look at that standard, but when we write a standard, it doesn't just happen overnight. It does take some time that we make sure that we perfect it to fit the community as a whole and stuff. So I think that there's been some good feedback here, and if you would like to take a couple minutes to speak, you're welcome to do that.
Yes, when we moved here, my big issue was that why we chose to live here was because we are seniors, and we thought that Westbrook would have been more understanding with my husband's disease. And it's a shame that I even had to mention it, okay? Think how I feel. Think how he feels. Okay? That's all I'm asking, is to make it a little easier for him, that's all. And it shouldn't take 3 months, it should have been approved right away. They called 911 on a fence, or on a gate. This is my 911. Not only is it aesthetic, but I want to make it easier for him and for other people that are dealing with this disease. You know, we're all seniors here. I had knee replaced, and I'm sure there's a lot of us in here. You know, but you know, my time and his time, I don't have months to wait, neither does he. You know, we get our medicine, we get better. When somebody has a disability, you get a shower chair, you get a walker, you get the things you need in your home. Well, this is one of the things we need for our family. And I don't think anybody in this room would ever object to just saying, let them do it. Already, I don't even know if the man that designed this will do it for us now. I don't even know. You know, he could be long gone, or he might say, I don't want to deal with these, what's Westbrook. He couldn't even understand why they wouldn't do it. And I tried to explain. But that's all I'm asking for, is to just make my husband's life and my family's a little bit easier. Plus, it looks nice. You know, I don't want him falling, or I don't want anybody falling and cracking their head on a wall. Let's make a variance to this. That's all you have to do, is make a variance. And if it looks bad, I'll take it down. I'm willing to do that. If everybody's unhappy with it, I'll take it down.
Tina, I think you're getting a consensus here that we're very supportive of what you want to do.
Well, now, I don't know. The last time I didn't, so let me know now that you're agreeing to this.
Let me help you out a little bit. So the Fair Housing Act basically gives you the opportunity to get something like this in place. So
how much longer do I have to wait?
Well, we're going to see today.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for coming. And this community this is something that the community long range is going to have to address, because and I know this is not the first case of this, because I spent a weekend with the man that has Parkinson's. So.
Well, I live with it. So
I don't think we'll have an issue with this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for being up there. Thank you.
My suggestion is that you can approve this variance based on ADA, But if you write a standard, she may need to make some additions or corrections to bring it within the standard.
There it is. There it is, there's the design here.
Right, but I'm saying the architectural committee needs to come up with a standard. And if it doesn't meet that, there might be some required, just minor corrections.
Page 4.
I think it looks pretty aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. And again, I'll ask what the color is.
It is going to be espresso. Same color as my door.
Okay.
It's a darker color.
Dark brown.
Yeah.
It would have to be oil rub bronze.
Yeah, we call it bronze.
It has to be an oil
That's
rub
it.
bronze.
See,
Bronze color.
there you go.
I really think it does add just what the ACC is regularly striving for. It's a very modern aesthetic, love it. It's great.
All right, any additional? All right, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, any opposed? None. All right, you guys may go forward, but I would like to work with you as the ACC chair so that we can help to try to write a standard that will fit for the entire community. Okay?
Yeah, and maybe in the future for Westbrook, maybe we should have start a committee with people with disabilities that want to do something like what we're trying to do.
We have a group called Helping Hands.
No, that,
Yeah, so they would be great to work with.
yeah, they're a little different than what I'm talking about.
Because they're ADA compliant.
Whatever, Karen.
Whatever.
Okay,
It's so disrespectful.
all right. Moving forward. Committee reports. Starting with architectural control. We have still quite a few applications constantly coming in, so other than that, that committee has not much to report. Unless you don't like us and then you come here. All right, government relations, Tim.
Yes, so we had the State of the City in April, and I understand that Jason Beck came here and talked. I was able to go and participate in his at the Christ Church of the Valley. That was pretty neat. We're very healthy as far as what our city is doing, so that's all I have to report.
Okay. Information technology, we did not have an April meeting. Landscape and facilities.
Yes, we met, and so everybody knows, we approved the repaving of our storage lot for our RV lot. I had a senior moment there.
That's okay.
I apologize, and thank you for Mr. Steve for
Helping you
staring
out.
me down. Yeah,
We're okay.
yeah. Everything's moving along quite well. I think our community needs to be aware of our water usage issues. We're using a lot of water. It's been very dry, and we look at that every month, but we're doing the best we can. Thank you.
And we walked on the water this week.
And we did get some rain.
And we have turned off many sprinklers since Sunday.
Nice.
Trying to conserve some water.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, when is the RV lot going to be repaved? Do we have a time?
We
Yes.
do.
Yes.
When is that?
June 6th, you have to have your RV out, and you can bring it back on the 23rd. I thought you were on the email.
That's too early.
Where's your vacation plan?
Until about the end of June.
So Friday, June 6th, you have to have the RV out, and you can come back in on Monday, the 23rd.
Okay, I don't think I got it, but I possibly have had a lot of major.
I'll make sure, I was pretty sure you were on that e-blast.
I
but
should be.
We're emailing just the RV owners so far, and then we'll inform the community.
Well, I have to leave on vacation early.
There you go.
Oh, wow, good for you.
Welcome to retirement.
Isn't it true that they can then park their RVs in front of their homes for that period of time?
So the question that was just asked was, can they park their RV in front of their home? We are offering parking behind the administration office. And yes, if it fits in your driveway, that's the first priority. If it doesn't fit in the driveway, you can put it on the street. And we're asking the whole entire neighborhood to be patient during construction. We do have people that don't care for RVs on the street. We need to make sure that safe passage is always important. And I have contacted the city of Peoria because they do have their strict guidelines, and we're asking for graces during this time.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Long Range Planning Committee, we are currently working on the surveys for the fitness center. So we've got a new round I think is coming in that we'll probably be discussing at our next meeting here in a few weeks.
So we have, we're ending those surveys and we're going to start compiling the data for the next meeting.
Okay. Cornerstone, we did not have an April meeting. Personnel,
We had no meeting.
recreation, Max.
Minutes are in the binder. We had no new business at that meeting, so we did appoint all the committees necessary.
All right, town hall.
I know it says none there, but I don't know why that's there. But the, it's not a town hall, but the perimeter fence was discussed in a community forum that was, I guess, last week or something like that. And so it was nice to see a bunch of people there. So thank you so much.
Okay. Bruce, Ways and Means.
Well, being sensitive to time here, our minutes are in your binder, and Westbrook is healthy. Thank you.
I have a question on page 85. So they're on item number 6. It says RV lot asphalt proposals, and it says motion by Amy Miller to accept the proposal from Roadrunner Paving and Asphalt in the amount of $325,000 plus. It goes on and on. When does the board vote on that amount?
The board had already approved that. We are under budget for what the board had approved for this.
Who were the other two? We need to have 3 bids. So
We had 7 bids, I believe.
I agree.
5. We had 5. We had 2 that came in delinquent or something.
Yep.
I'm kind of confused being the new kid on the block. Back in September, the board reviewed all the bids for the lakes parking lot, $200 and something thousand for the lakes parking lot. And then the RV lot, shouldn't it be a capital expenditure? It's quite large. Shouldn't that be brought to board approval as well?
It already was.
Yeah.
Then why was this a new business for?
The bids were not. Again, going back to September, maybe I'm not making myself clear.
So the process is that it was at Landscape and Facilities. They reviewed all of the bids. They made their recommendation to the Ways and Means, and Ways and Means voted on it. As long as it comes in under budget that we've already approved, we do not have to reapprove it again. It's only if the expenditure exceeds the budgetary amount that's already been set.
So if the lakes parking lot exceeded the budgetary amount that was okay before?
Sean, I don't recall. I think when they added the contingency, we may have gone slightly over budget, but we'll have to look at that. Because that's the procurement, I mean, that's the policy. As long as we stay under the approved budget, we can expedite the process, and it ends with the financial committee.
So in the future, some projects that are in the books right now and budgeted for in the future will not come to board for approval if they are under the budget?
Well, the board approved the budget in October.
Right, but I'm talking about, like you said, the actual reviewing of the bids and
If you
all
want
that stuff.
to, if you want to change the policy, then that's a discussion that needs to take place.
Okay.
You're going to delay projects even more.
I think I'm respectfully request that the policy be sent to me as secretary. I need to review that. Back in October under the budget, we had a placeholder for the RV lot and with a certain amount of money, and then I understand that it goes up and down the committees, but the final decision needs to be done at the board level.
Not if it comes under budget, because we try to keep things moving. If we have to bring everything to board after it's already been vetted through, then we're going to make everything that much slower around here.
We're going to go back to our 90-day approval and not get vendors and bids that hold. So it's up to the board.
Yes, Paul.
That's why the budget was approved. Correct.
Again, it was.
Come up to the microphone.
Up to the microphone.
Paul Schnitzky, Iowa Estates. When we go through the budget committee, we go and review what we anticipate as major projects for next year. We put that into the budget, if you get your 2-page thing, and then that is approved by a separate meeting by the board. The policy states, which has been mentioned at least 3 times, that if you go to bid, and we did get 5 bids, and the bids come in under budget, and it was like 335 plus 10% contingency, so even with the contingency, it's under the budget of 375. It does not have to be reapproved. So we met the policy in all manner. Any questions?
No. So the policy is that, like, who knows what committee okayed it then? Like,
You do.
Budget committee.
The budget committee, the landscape and facilities, and the ways and means.
Ways and
Ways and
Means,
Means, that's
and
what
you're
I'm
always welcome to go to Ways and Means if it's coming under budget.
That's what I'm talking about, though, is my question is, like, what project falls under what committee, you know, in the future? I always thought that the committees made recommendations to the board, and then the board had final approval. Right.
And the board also has
The board approved the budget, but
So your first
I'm just
question
confused,
is-
because I just looked back in the history and I saw that the Lakes was approved by the board, the Lakes parking lot.
Because it went over budget.
Okay.
So we'll confirm that. So your question is, what projects go to what committees?
That's
Okay,
another
so
question I have.
let's talk about a fence. Okay, if there's a fence that's presented, and it is at the common areas, it would start with rec, because it's going to affect recreation. It would then go to landscape and facilities, and it would go to architectural control, because they have to make sure that the fence is within the standards. So there's 21 board-appointed residents that review it. Then, if they all make the recommendation, it would go to Ways and Means, which is the financial committee. And Ways and Means says the budget, it's under budget or it's over budget. We've gone to board with a $12 over budget because that's what the policy reads. Let's say that it is a club application. That wouldn't go to landscape, or that wouldn't go to Ways and Means. That is strictly recreation. So it depends on the projects, it depends on the requests, certain items like that. But larger projects, like asphalt didn't go to ACC, right? It's not an ACC requirement. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. The Golf Course and Association joint meetings, there was no April meeting, so there's nothing to report on. Manager's report.
Any questions for us? It's been pretty busy. We finished our concert series for the year. We had a great event last week. We had 248 attendees for the BB&J Music on the Patio and food trucks for our end of season hurrah. I commend Denise and Colby for putting on a great event. We had wonderful compliments on that. Any questions on reports?
Okay, hearing none. All right, for the good of the order, so give me some goodness. Any goodness out there?
On your report, it talks about RFPs getting ready for the pickleball fence. Who's coming up with the drawings and stuff like that?
The vendors. We'll meet with vendors and get their input from the user group report that we got, and then we'll present it all.
And in that situation, similar to what I was just talking about with the RV lot, is the board going to have the final approval on that, or is one of the committees going to have final approval?
Well, that fence would go to all the committees, correct? So my example was a fence. It has to go to rec because it affects the sports courts. It have to go to landscape and facilities because it's a facilities project. It have to go to architectural control committee to make sure that it's within the standards, and then go to the ways and means depending on the financial.
Right, that's what I mean, like architectural control committee is not going to really have an opinion about the financial part.
Right.
But they'll have an opinion about how it's made.
The architectural side of it,
Right.
correct.
Which could be impacting the financial side.
Right.
Sure.
If it doesn't fit within our standard, then it may have to go back and have a conversation about it.
Yeah, each committee could send it back for further research.
I think we should be more efficient with the vendors to have a drawing in place first for them to bid on.
No, we always do. So we have what we call our stalking horse, which is the first vendor that comes out, and we address all of those issues, and the RFP has, just like you've seen on the other ones, Sean does a great job on doing all the mapping, and then we'll get a rendering to bid on across the board.
But again, the actual end vote will be here with the board, or will it be like with the RV lot?
Depends on the price. If it comes under budget, it doesn't necessarily need to come here.
And our budget is?
175. So the numbers that are out there, it's different. The budgeted number is in your binder at 175 for the fence.
I want to make a motion that we have the board approve the final.
Motion under for the good of the order.
Yeah, we're in the good of the order, Joe.
So moved.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm second it.
Cannot make a motion.
Cannot make a motion for good of the order.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
Robert's rules.
Robert's rules say that we don't even have to do good for the order,
on,
so
hang on
I
one
don't want
second.
to get into the argument. I hear what you're saying.
I was talking about the GM report.
We skipped that and moved to the for the good of the order. Marcy did.
Yeah.
She said for goodness.
Joe, I don't disagree with what you're saying, okay? All right? The process will go through. Everybody will have an opportunity to be able to have a say. And I am not saying that, I do not believe that this particular issue, I believe needs to have the final vote by the board, no matter what it is.
I just need clarity here. Are you saying that a board member cannot make a motion during a board meeting and second it, and you're saying that we cannot do that? Is that correct?
When we have hit for the good of the order, which is an optional thing that we have allowed in our agenda, then no, we are now past making motions.
You're going to stand on that?
I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to roll around in it. I'm going to throw it on myself, and I'm going to stand on it.
We had a couple of questions in the audience. Can I
Yes.
entertain those?
Donna, come in.
Come on up to the mic, please.
Oh, I've sat too long. Oh my gosh. Hopefully this will be just really quick. Just two really fast things. Donna Karnowski, Westbrook Village, I always say that. Village Terrace. On the report for the facility usage, pickleball wasn't on there.
I'd like to see the numbers for that.
Yeah, it's on there.
Is it, was it 3 pages and I only saw 2 maybe? I don't have my glasses today.
Yeah, no, there, it was definitely on there.
Okay, is that shown on the website to actually view that?
After the board approves it, it does go to the website.
After today, yeah, it'll go up there.
Perfect. And then, I don't know if this is part of it too, if I could say this or not, but we were talking about the pickleball fencing. So I would like to have the board also consider, Joe had an amazing idea with the swiping, the electronic swiping. I really would like you to consider that as well. At least something else to check into and not just be set in on the fence that you're talking about with other alternatives. That would be something that would be really good to be able to carry over to other locations as well. So I'd like to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Yes, Marty?
Marty Harper, Westbrook.
You live in
Fairway
Westbrook.
Springs. Fairway Springs. Anyway, I think this all comes down to the importance of actually attending Ways and Means and the committees. Because if you would be going to these meetings, you would see how things were developed and not necessarily have to get to this point. Educate yourself as you go along instead of reacting to what has happened. That's just a suggestion on how to facilitate communications and information.
Okay.
Thank you.
How many have been to a Ways and Means Committee meeting?
There we go.
Hi, Kathy Schrader, your favorite person from, where am I? Oh, Ironwood Estates. We do have a swiping system, everybody. It's right in the rec center. Zing, pickleball. And I also find it a little offensive that there is a group of people who have a political action group and their postings make it sound like they are the HOA board. They take votes. They give you statistics on these votes. They only have 154 votes total. So I just find it offensive that this group thinks they're voting for the whole 3,910 homes. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
That was
So she. She's offensive. No, we're not going down that. Let's go on through.
Offensive. I find it offensive.
Okay, guess what? Meeting's over. Take it to the parking lot. Oh, Mike, we don't have that yet. It's going to be